Okay, so now let's talk about the connection between ProTools and Dolby Atmos. We already said that the playback engine of ProTools has to be on Dolby Audio Bridge and 1024 samples. The session should have been 48 already, or multiple of it, and the I/O is where you want to start. So all we need to do is to basically, when you start from scratch, go into the output, delete all the current outputs, and on the renderer you need to make sure you are selecting the Dolby Atmos external renderer ticket, and make sure that this is a still green light, meaning that it's synchronized. Yesterday we had the problem that this will never synchronize because the computer has a network problem. But where the computer is fine and doesn't have any problem, you should have this fun immediately. And even here you can delete that. So we have an empty space, and for the moment you can press OK. That is a clean session, and we keep it like that because it's super easy to work from Dolby first. So Dolby presents us with two different type of using audio. One is the beds that you can see in purple there, which is a selection of 10 channels, a group of 10 channels. And here we have 3 beds, 1, 2, 3, that occupy channels from 1 all the way down to 30. All the other, there are this little circle, are objects channels. And you have another set all the way until 128. To organize this, you just do Command I, which is the selection of inputs, and you organize. But before we go there, you need to do Command comma and make sure that your Dolby system is, the input is set on the Dolby Audio Bridge, where is the sound coming from ProTools, and the output is the interface that you use. So if you're using the headphones, you want to press headphone and then select the headphone only mode. Instead, if you're using the speaker in the studio, here it will be the sound card of the studio, and that's it. You don't have to select anything else. And I will say keep the speaker base management frequency off, because in post-production, to do a proper job, we do it manually. Now all of the stuff is ready, and we go into Command I, which is the set of inputs. How do I have 3 sets of beds? Here they are. So you see, these are 7.1.2 beds, the basic bed of Dolby Atmos, and it occupies 10 channels, which is the left and right, the center, the LFE, and then the side speakers left and right, the rear speaker left and right, and then the top speakers. This is the standard Dolby Atmos format. And here I decided to do DME, so let's go the other way around, dialogues, music, and effects. Those are standard groups. You can also go group and add in your new group. So you click on, you say ambiance or whatever, and you create your own special group. But this is the one we need, DME. And you see they occupy this channel. These are the beds. For the object, you don't need to specify any group. If you want, you can, but you can assign some objects a certain group, etc. But I normally use them all free, and then I use them whenever I want. I go and set it up according to what I need. So pressing OK, it's all set up. Now we go back to Pro Tools, the I/O. And in Pro Tools, simply in the renderer tab that is synchronized and is waiting but it's empty, you want to pull the configuration creating stereo objects. So boom. And I create a stereo object because if you create a stereo object, then it gives you 2 mono. And so you have double option. If you create all mono, you will never have a stereo. Depending on your project, you decide, but I normally stay on the stereo with the 2 mono path. And look what it did. It created 3 beds, dialogue, music, and effects. Perfect for us. But not only did that, if you go on the output tab that we erased before, now it created the connection to the output for you. So Pro Tools now go directly to Dolby. Dolby is the only one that goes to the speakers. So Pro Tools basically doesn't go to the speakers anymore. It just sends the sound and the metadata to Dolby, and Dolby deals with sending it to the speakers in the way that you require. And that's why it's so fast than to switch between the speakers and the, the headphones or other formats. And I would say keep the 7.1.2 SMT, that is the format of Dolby. Then there are other things that you can set, but at the moment we don't care, we just press OK. So now we are ready to go to the auxiliary track that we left hanging there and select the appropriate output. You will see that if you go back into your tracks, this has been maintained because we added routing that it was our internal buses. Our buses tab, if I go back to the I/O, is happy and intact. It has the standard buses, even all the speakers that we don't care, but it has the surround buses, that's all we need. So let's go back into the auxiliary track at the bottom. So the output, we can select the first one, and the output will be not the output, but the bed, because we say the Pro Tools doesn't go to the speakers, which is the output, it goes to the bed. If you select output, you will hear the sound, but it goes to the speakers that you have selected on your computer. Instead, you don't want to go there, it's Dolby that goes there. So you just have to indicate what is the dialogues bed, and the dialogues bed, it was the first one. Remember DME, dialogue, music, and effects. So I select this one, bed 1 to 10, and correspondingly for the other, I will choose number 2, which is this one, and number 3, which is this one. There you go. So simply demonstration, if I add an insert here, simple signal generator with noise, this one is going to the surround bus 3. I can do that for the music and check all my signal flow, but it's perfect. You see, and now the sound is on the music, and so on, so on. We don't need to do everything. Okay, that's the signal flow working. So we have the placement, we can pan, and maybe I didn't show you this, that when you do this, it goes into the corresponding speakers there, and it also gives you the binaural level, and later on it will give you the loudness. So let's continue the setup. The last two things are to create, you want to have, I would say, one track that is going to be our LTC track, the synchronizing the video with Dolby Atmos for calculating the loudness, and one other mono track. This you can have even 3, but let's say 2. This will be the LFE, okay? Which is the low frequency emitter. So we want to send the low frequencies that we desire with automation directly to the speakers, the subwoofer. We don't want the system to do it automatically because it will be boring all the time, and it just overloads us with low frequency that we don't need. The LTC is something that it can be somewhere in your track. Let's put it next to the video at the top, and we can even forget about it later. The LFE, instead, you wanted where it should go. So for example, I might use the LFE a lot for the music and LFE a lot for the for the sound effects. So I'll keep them there together with these two. I know that number 2 is LFE sound effects, and number 1 it's going to be LFE for the music. So I have the 2 big LFEs there. What's the setup of this? Let's start from the LTC. LTC requires an insert. In the insert, you search LTC, and you will be having the mono LTC generator, and you add it to the thing, and it will go automatically to the frame per second settings that is available. And you need to give him an output. Normally the LTC is set to the output 129. In fact, if I go in the preference of Dolby Atmos, you will see that the LTC input channel is 129. We know that in our Dolby setup, our tracks are 128. So if I create now a new path, and it's mono, and I call it LTC bus, that is LTC out, sorry, that is the channel 129, meaning that it's down there happy. So I then select OK, and when I am in the track there, I can say to this, go into the output LTC, and that's all you need to do. If this is on, whenever I press play, it will tell you if the frame rate is correct, and mine is not set to the same frame rate, so I put it 30 there, so accept, it should be fine. Then you will be able, oh, it was 29, sorry, not 30, 29.97, yeah. Now the frame rate is okay, so you can calculate the loudness. This is very important for when you do your final mix, because if you calculate the loudness of your work, let's make it unmuted there. You see, it started making these numbers there. And overall, you need to target the minus 23 of the integrated loudness while staying into a true peak of -1. This you can only see once you finish your project. If you reach kind of a decent true peak, it can be below -1 as much as low as you want. But here you need to target -24 or -23 maximum. One is for Netflix, the other for international video. So be careful, because if you stay at -18 or 16, it's way too loud. But if you do -30, -40, it's way too soft, and that will create problem when you display it in cinemas, etc. So that's the real learning that you're doing. To do it professionally, you need to work with a sense of what is the loudness of your work. Once we've done that, the LTC is correct, and you can forget about it. Then the LFE, instead, you can't forget about it. For the LFE, we need the tracks to be able to send the sound to the LFE. So that will be using some buses dedicated. So we go into the buses, and you create a bus, and new path is mono, the signal, and it's going to be LFE MX bus. And the other one, it will be an LFE sound effects bus. I like to have names that are very clear and tell me what they need to do, so I will always remember. You don't need to tick anything, you just press OK. So the other two tracks that we need to add is 2 auxiliary mono tracks, and we call it the LFE. These 2 auxiliary tracks, maybe we can put it at the dark green. One will be assigned to the LFE mix music, and the other will be the LFE for the sound effects, because that's where I want to use my LFE the most. And where do I want to put it is nearby the music and the sound effects. So we have the LFE. The input will be the 2 digital buses that we just created, and this one here for the sound effects. Once you've done that, then you need to select the output, and the output will be the bed. For the music, we know that it is DME, so music is here, but not the general 12 channel there, is down here where it says LFE. we want to basically directly send to the output of the speakers that is dedicated to the channel 4, which is the low frequency emitter. And the same we do here for the bed, but not on this bed. On the third bed, which is the sound effects, we're going to look for the LFE channel, which is this one, and you go for it.
Oh, no, sorry.
Then what we do now, we're going to have in the effects, you want to put an EQ and a one band EQ, and this one band EQ is very important because it's the one that actually creates the LFE. So you put a low pass filter and you set the frequency of 120 or 100 according to your preferences, and this bed setup is enough for our example. Then I want to copy this all the way down here, so I do Option click drag and it goes there. So now when I press unmute the track that I was creating, I can send the signal all the way down to the LFE. So to do that, you have to use a send. If you don't see this column, you just need to tick here and you go bus LFX music and raise the volume like that and unmute that. This portion here is not the sound that you're probably hearing now, is the sound of the low frequency. In fact, if I put it on pre and reduce to 0 this, you will see that here there is a sound, but of course it's very low, so I cannot really have it in the headphones, but it's a sound that is being filtered. So if I do probably raise the frequency, I will be able to hear something. I know, because it's going to the subwoofer, and again I don't have access there. But if I change these settings to the headphones, I will be able to hear. Maybe you are hearing in the recording, I don't know. But that's the way to do it. So it's pretty automatic. The only thing that is not automatic is the send. So whenever you want a sound to go there, you need to do an automation to raise the send of that particular sound into the subwoofer. And don't leave this automatic, because it goes into your mark if you're actually doing this kind of automation at the right time. So to recap, in this part of the video, we had our system of tracks, our system of VCAs, our system of auxiliary tracks, and the dedicated LFE auxiliary track for the music and the sound effects. We didn't put it on the dialogue because it's not very used like that. And we also had the LTC track, that is the sync for the for connecting with the Dolby Atmos, the sync image to video to sound, that allows you to have a calculation of the integrated loudness, which is your target loudness. See, minus 25, I should probably raise overall my output to make it go to minus 24 or minus 23, depending on the output. Let's say minus 23 for everybody. So that's the important setup for working with the post-production. Last but not least is this thing, which is the time display there. You cannot have minutes and seconds, you need to have the time code, and the resolution should be 1 frame. In particular, when you are working to synchronize movement automations or synchronize sounds to the picture, you want to, when you scroll around and zoom in and move the cursor around, you're moving by the resolution of a frame, so that you know that the video will move exactly 1 frame by frame, and so you have a perfect syncing, and you will adjust the audio to the frame, not that, because you can't change the film, so you cannot change the frame to the audio, so that's what you need to adapt to. So you need to have the system of film here to be able to adapt perfectly to it. That's basically the gist of it, the gist of the template. Now, the next bit will be using objects that we already have a video from last term, and using automation where you have already a video. So the next bit will be just the post-production. How do you export all of your work?